Hello and welcome to the last Antinatalism this week of this year. Profil, an internet journal of philosophy, is a scientific journal. It publishes 2 issues per year. In the coming issue of December 2024, there is a research paper by Frederick Clamper, Miserable, Meaningless Lives and Unwelcome Deaths. In it, he criticizes David Benatar. His point is Benatar does not go to the logical conclusion of pro-mortalism. Benatar famously takes the view that quality of all lives is bad. He also says that there is no cosmic meaning to our lives. But at the same time, Benatar also says that death is bad. Not just the process of dying, but the state of being dead is bad for the one who is dead. Benatar gives different views for this position in his Human Predicament. Like, for example, if you had some desires or plans in your life, then death could thwart those plans. Frederick says that if the quality of our life is so bad, and if there is no cosmic meaning to our lives, then we can't say that death is necessarily bad. In a way, antinatalism leads to pro-mortalism. He concludes we cannot subscribe to Benatar's blend of existential pessimism and cosmic nihilism and simply continue meandering through life, staring as far away from death as before. Vice published an article, Antinatalists Wish That No New Person Is Ever Born. It was an interview of Jack Boswell. As you can see, it has a picture of Lawrence Anton holding a sign saying, "Don't gamble with someone else's life." Jack Boswell, as you might already know, is the creator of the documentary I Wish You Were Never Born, which was published recently. There's a question in it about what Jack thought of the main arguments for antinatalism, and he said this: I think their argument is if you bring someone into the world, they might have good experiences, they might have bad experiences, but if they are not brought into the world at all, they are not missing out on anything. So why put them through it? On the pro-natalist side, there was an article, The Generation Game. This is about a book called What Are Children For? On Ambivalence and Choice by Anastasia Berg and Rachel Weissman. On to some notable videos this week. Wise Daily Reflections is a channel that makes videos about different personalities and philosophers. There was a video about Albert Carreco, Life is a Mistake Disguised by Society and Religion. Albert Carreco was born in Turkey in 1919 and ended his life a few hours after the death of his father in 1971. The video claims some of the quotes by him, and I'm just going to put up one of those just as an example. If people stopped believing and reproducing, humanity's problems would be solved in 1 or 2 generations. Another video on the same channel was about Emile Chiron, The Terrible Truth About Life No One Dares to Admit. This was a short video about Emile Chiron, but there was also another second video about Emile Chiron on a channel called Philosophy Playground. Is Having Babies a Crime? Emile Chiron's Antinatalism. This one is almost an hour-long video, and as the title suggests, it goes into details of Chiron's antinatalism. 99th episode of the Exploring Antinatalism podcast was released, and it was with Oscar Manzano. This episode talks about Manichaeism. This was an ancient sect and had some antinatalist thoughts in their belief system. There are some new members of this sect these days. Amanda explores this further with Oscar. And so that leaves the Exploring Antinatalism podcast with only one short of a century. The 100th episode will be on 30th of December. It will be celebration of 20 years since Mati Hairi first published his risk argument back in 2004. Lawrence made 2 videos, and one of them was about the definition of antinatalism. It was more of a response to Luca Lo Sapio. Luca Lo Sapio is a professor of philosophy at the University of Turin in Italy, and he was interviewed on the Exploring Antinatalism podcast recently. In that episode, Luca said that antinatalism is an axiological view that existence is not valuable. Instead, anti-procreationism is a normative view that we should refrain from bringing somebody into existence. There were 2 main objections to this according to Lawrence. Anti-procreationism would restrict the view only to biological reproduction. There's too much focus on how a sentient being is brought into existence. Like, the focus is on the means rather than the consequence that it is brought into existence. Secondly, according to Lawrence, Luca's definition of antinatalism is already covered by general philosophical pessimism. There is much more that Lawrence says about this in his video, but these were the key points. I have a slightly different view on this, which I have explained in one of the recent Antinatalism This this week episodes. I will include the link to that particular video in the description, so if you want, you can check it out. Lawrence did one more video, which was more of a fun video where he talks about different memes and roasts them. And also, I should mention, Lawrence and I did an Antinatalism this year live stream, which went for almost 3 hours. We covered many different stories, books, events, documentaries, videos, and much more that happened during this year about antinatalism, and we surely missed some stories as well. Metaphysical Exile posted a new video called The Evil God on Christmas Day. The central idea is that if you look around the world, the state of the world, and the suffering in it, then it is clear that the God which created it must be evil. There was also a video in Hindi on a channel called Sankalp Jeet Ki. The creator has done some good research on the subject, especially on David Benatar's antinatalism. It is always good to see antinatalist content made in various different languages.